Hello there everybody, how is it going and how have you been? I am EuclideanSqd, and we're back here in Duel Links to check out the newest mini-box, Dimension of the Wizards. Now, before we actually start opening packs, I do have to say two very quick things. First off, I am aware that a Duelist Chronicle event has been going on for several days now. I tried to record a video covering it, and the audio got bad, and as annoyed as I was, I decided not to not record another video covering it, because by that point there was only a couple of days left in the event anyway, and we've had Duelist Chronicle events before. All that really is new is the 3 or 4 reward cards, which I felt didn't really merit a new video considering how little time is left in the event. Now the other thing I have to mention is that I've already tried to record a pack opening video, and much like that event overview video, the audio was messed up. Specifically, my voice was so muffled that when I cranked it up loud enough to hear me, I was still being overpowered by the background noise of the game. And I couldn't figure out how to fix it just because of how I currently record my audio. I'm going to be trying to, I will be experimenting with ways to try and fix that in the future, but I don't know how soon that may happen. I still am not entirely sure what exactly my laptop can handle in terms of recording software and games and all that sort of stuff. But long story short, I spent 40 minutes opening 50 packs and basically had to throw away all the footage because you couldn't hear me. All you would hear is just the background music just blaring over my voice. So, unfortunately, we aren't going to get a standard sort of pack opening video like I wanted, but here's the compromise. I managed to grind up 1,000 gems in the time between last night and this night when I record. So we are instead going to open up 20 packs, and then I will just cover any cards that we don't get. So still kind of the same, except a lot of them aren't going to be brought up as new, so it will be up to me to remember which ones we do and do not get in this pack opening. Hopefully I get them all. I don't really know. I might miss out on 1 or 2 cards, and if I do, I apologize. But I'm also very miffed because at one point I got 3 super rares in a row, and it was actually kind of cool, and I can't, the footage is gone. Just like that. But I did several audio tests. I know the audio is working better this time around, so fingers crossed that we don't have a 3rd audio glitch in a row. Anyway, enough about that prattling. I spent way too much time. Let's go ahead and open up 10 packs. Okay. Truth be told, I opened 50 packs on camera, and then I opened another 5 off camera in hopes of getting one of the other ultra rares. I did not. But we have a reprint card for our first card. Medulce Lesson. Regular trap card. Target 1 Medulce monster in your graveyard. Shuffle that target into the deck, and if you do, all Medulce monsters you currently control gain 800 attack and defense. Then you can shuffle 1 other monster from your graveyard into the deck. Sounds like a good trap card. However, one thing to mention is that all the Medulce monsters have an effect that say when they are sent to the graveyard, or when they are destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, they automatically shuffle themselves back into the deck for you. So typically the only way a Medulce is going to stay in the graveyard is if it is tributed for something, or if it is discarded by a card effect. Or if the card effect explicitly says send, not destroy. So, good trap card, but not as easy to activate as you might think. Then we have Sorcerer of the Doomed, a level 4 dark spellcaster, 1450 attack, 1200 defense, and if you don't mind me, I just want to make sure. Alright, volume levels are looking good. It's a normal monster, decent spellcaster, I guess, but there are better ones. In fact, there's a better spellcaster in the deck, or no, that's a psychic monster I'm thinking of. Never mind. And then we have Medulce Marmalade, a level 4 Earth spellcaster, 800 attack, 2000 defense. When this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to your graveyard, shuffle this card into the deck. When this card is flipped face up, you can target 1 Medulce spell trap card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. I really like this card. You can set her in defense mode, and either the 2000 defense will be enough to absorb an attack, and then you get the effect to go off and recover a Medulce spell trap, or your opponent attacks, destroys her, but her effect still goes off because she flipped face up anyway. So it's a win-win either way, and she's got a nice amount of defense to kind of act as a bit of a shield for a while. Moving on, we have Naturia Ladybug, a level 1 Earth Insect, 100 attack and defense. When you synchro summon a Naturia Synchro monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. During your main phase, you contribute this card to select one face-up Naturia monster you control. It gains 1000 attack until the end phase. So, interesting little card. It's nice that it revives itself when you synchro summon a Naturia monster, in that you could use this thing in the synchro summoning, and then Ladybug will just automatically revive itself. And then you can immediately tribute it and give your new Naturia synchro monster 1000 attack points. So, that's a plus. Otherwise, a little bit on the weak side, and I'm not super familiar with Naturias or how they're supposed to work, so I can't really say how good this card is. Another reprint card, Arcane Barrier, a continuous spell card. Each time a spellcaster type monster, or monsters, on the field is destroyed face up, place one spell counter on this card to a maximum of 4. You can send this card and one face up spellcaster type monster you control to the graveyard, draw one card for each spell counter that was on this card. So, I don't really like the main purpose of this card, in that it accumulates spell counters and then you can get rid of it to draw cards, because you have to effectively tribute a spellcaster as well as this card to draw cards out of your deck, and I just don't feel like drawing or giving up a spellcaster to draw a bunch of cards is useful, especially if you have to use your normal summon up for that turn. But it has some uses, particularly of note. It can hold a lot of spell counters, and there are other cards in this box that like to work with spell counters, so there's that. And then we have Naturia Sacred Tree, continuous trap card. If this card is sent to the graveyard, add one Naturia card from your deck to your hand, except Naturia Sacred Tree. You can only use one of the following effects of Naturia Sacred Tree per turn, and only once that turn. You can either tribute an Earth Insect type monster to special summon one level 4 or lower Earth Plant type monster from your deck, or the opposite, tribute an Earth Plant type monster to special summon a level 4 or lower Earth Insect type monster from your deck. So this card seems to primarily be around to let you cycle out your Naturias for whichever ones you might need at the current moment, but you can only do it once per turn, and because of the wording of the effect, having 2 on the field isn't really going to help, so decent card, I suppose. Iron Knight, level 4 Earth Warrior, 1700 attack, 700 defense, loses 1000 attack while you control Iron Hans. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add one Iron Hans from your deck to your hand, or if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone, you can add one warrior type monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Iron Knight once per turn. So, this card is part of a set that all revolve around this field spell called Golden Castle of Stromberg. The castle is an incredibly powerful card, but it also has a very, very high maintenance cost to it. If we find it, I will discuss that. And I don't really get the purpose of any of them. Like, I even did the duel puzzle that, or the loner deck duel that kind of revolved around it. I still don't get the point of these things. I mean, there are some interesting strategies, but I just don't see them paying off by the time the castle would burn yourself out. We'll get to that more if a golden castle surfaces. Psychic Field Zone. Regular spell card. Select 2 of your removed from play monsters, 1 psychic type tuner and 1 psychic type non-tuner. Return them to the graveyard, then special summon a psychic type synchro monster from your extra deck in face-up defense position, whose level equals the total levels of the returned monsters. So this is a very nice spell card. A lot of psychic monsters in the game like to banish and potentially resummon themselves. So Psychic Veil Zone can be used to do exactly what the effect says. You use your other psychics to banish tuners and non-tuners from your graveyard, preferably those you've already used for a synchro summoning, and then you can use Field Zone to effectively synchro summon again with them. So I like this card. I don't know how many I would use in a deck, probably no more than 1, maybe 2, depending, but interesting spell. Then we got another Sacred Tree. fourth pack, we got Naturia Cherries, level 1 Earth Plant Tuner, 200 attack and defense. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard by your opponent's card, either by battle, card effect, or just by being destroyed, you can special summon up to 2 Naturia Cherries from your deck in face down defense position. So, I'm okay with that effect because it does remove up to 2 cards from your deck for you. So, controlled self-milling like that, I always enjoy. Level 1 tuners, though, a little bit tricky to synchro summon with, but definitely doable. Psychic Tracker, a level 3 Earth Psychic, 1600 attack, 600 defense. If you control a level 3 monster other than Psychic Tracker, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can only special summon Psychic Tracker once per turn this way. A synchro monster that uses this card as material gains 600 attack. Very nice little psychic monster. And Iron Cage, continuous spell card. When this card is activated, send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, or if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone, you can send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard instead. Once per turn, during your standby phase, you can target the monster that was sent to the graveyard by this card's effect, destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that monster to your field. You can only activate 1 Iron Cage per turn. And again, this seems like a very powerful card, especially if you do combine it with the Golden Castle field spell, in that you can effectively just steal any of your opponent's monsters, but it does require you to last through an opponent's turn. And again, if we find that Golden Castle, you'll see why time is not necessarily on your side. Naturia Forest, field spell card. If you negate the activation of a card your opponent controls, you can add 1 level 3 or lower Naturia monster from your deck to your hand. Very nice. Lets you search out monsters you might need. And I know some Naturias negate your opponent's card effects. I don't know which ones specifically or how many, so I honestly don't know how frequently you can take advantage of this card. Naturia Cosmo Beat, a level 2 Earth Plant Tuner, 1000 attack, 700 defense. I actually really like this tuner. When your opponent normal summons or sets a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So, if you have something to just stop your opponent from attacking, you can basically special summon your tuner on their turn, and then play whatever monster you are going to synchro summon with. Or, if you just need an extra monster to absorb an attack, Cosmo Beat can jump down in the way and take something for you. And then we got another Iron Cage. Are we getting a... No, we're not getting a super rare. Okay. Power of the Guardians. I also really like this card. An equipped spell. If an attack is declared involving the equipped monster, place 1 spell counter on this card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on this card. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 spell counter from your field instead. I really like this card. It basically makes your monster stronger every time it attacks, and you can protect it by just removing spell counters. Doesn't even have to be from Power of the Guardians. It could be from some other spell or some other monster on the field that also has spell counters on it, so I really like this equipped spell. And this is another monster I actually really like. Naturia Rose Whip. Level 3 Earth Plant Tuner, 400 attack, 1700 defense. Your opponent can activate a spell or trap card only once per turn. Now, admittedly, I don't know if that means that if they have a continuous spell or a field spell on the field, if activating that means they can't play anything from their hand, or if they still get like 1 spell trap from their hand per turn. I'm not entirely sure, but severely restricting your opponent's moves like this is always a nice benefit in my opinion. Here we go. This is cannot talk tonight. This is the monster I was thinking of when I was talking about the Sorcerer of the Doomed. Mech Knight of Ram. Level 4 Light Psychic, normal monster, 2000 attack, 0 defense. Not entirely sure why the card text just says check this out, and something about the name Mech Knight of Ram makes me think that there are other monsters in the Mech Knight set, but I honestly don't know. This is like last night was the first time I even saw this card. Okay, You might have... we did get a super rare, because the only fusion cards in this box are super rares, so that's cool. Naturia Ladybug, Arcane Barrier, and Millennium Eyes Restrict, a very, very odd fusion monster, to say the least. Level 1 Dark Spellcaster Fusion, 0 attack and defense. It's a fusion of Relinquished and any effect monster. Another Relinquished, or pretty much 90% of the cards in the game. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard, equip that target to this card that you control. This card gains attack and defense equal to the equipped monsters, and monsters with that equipped monster's name cannot attack, and their effects on the field and their activated effects are negated. So effectively, if your opponent tries to use any monster effects while Millennium Eyes Restrict is in play, Millennium Eyes Restrict will let you absorb any of their effect monsters, and then, like Relinquished, it gains attack equal to that monster, and then it just halts everything with that name that your opponent may control. Now, very good fusion monster, I feel, but I don't like it for two main reasons. One, unlike regular Relinquished, this thing can only absorb an opponent's monster when they activate an effect. So they could just not activate an effect and then just attack Millennium Eyes Restrict and destroy it. So there's that big glaring weakness. But also, if you're going to absorb an effect monster to try and stop an effect, like, why would you pick something in their graveyard? I mean, you could pick something in the graveyard for superior stats, but you know, if you're going for the whole same name, or monsters with the same name cannot attack or use their effects, why wouldn't you just absorb the opponent's monster that's trying to activate the effect and just nullify the effect? I mean, unless that's not how the ruling works, but potentially good fusion monster, but I don't know really how it compares to regular old Relinquished. Interesting, nonetheless. Moving on. Another Ladybug. Ill Witch, very bad card. Level 5 Light Spellcaster, normal monster, 1600 attack, 1500 defense. I would not recommend this card. Not unless it's your only option. And Esper Girl, a level 2 Earth Psychic Tuner, 500 attack, 300 defense. When this removed from play card is special summoned, remove from play the top card of your deck face down. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add that removed card to your hand. So, seems like a little bit of a convoluted effect, but again, a lot of Psychic monsters like to remove one another from play, and there are several cards in the game, like Serene Psychic Witch, for example, and what is it, Silent Psychic Magician or something like that? It's Silent Psychic something. But they are very good at removing cards, or removing other Psychic-type monsters from your deck, I believe. So you could use them, target Esper Girl, remove her from play, and then when their effects go off to summon Esper Girl, her effect goes off to banish a card, and then when she leaves the field to go to the graveyard, like in a synchro summoning, you get that card anyway. So, still convoluted, but not as difficult to pull off as you might think. And I just realized it's almost 20 minutes in, and I've still not finished the first 10 packs. Don't know why it takes so long. Naturia Tulip, level 2 Earth Plant Tuner, 600 attack, 1500 defense. While you control this face-up card, each time your opponent activates a spell or trap card, all face-up Naturia monsters you control gain 500 attack until the end phase. Pretty good card, considering it says all of your Naturia monsters get stronger every time they try to use spell or trap cards, but again, I'm just not familiar enough with the set to know how good it is in general. Magidog, a level 4 light spellcaster, 1700 attack, 1000 defense. If this card is sent to the graveyard for the synchro summon of a... oh. Oh. Sorry about that. You probably heard that, but really bad cough all of a sudden. Oh. If this card is sent to the graveyard for the synchro summon of a spellcaster type monster, you can select and add one field spell card from your graveyard to your hand. So, It'd be nice if the effect was a little bit more general. I understand why it is restricted like that, and in particular, I know there's the field spell Magical Citadel of Endymion that works with spell counters, so that could work with some of the other cards in this box, and then another Cosmo Beat. Did I get one of the ultra rares? Because I'd really like. Nope, we got the other super. We got the other fusion super rare. I will deal with that. I will happily take that. Naturia Vein, level 1 Earth Plant Tuner, 200 attack, 300 defense. You contribute this card and one Naturia monster to negate the activation of your opponent's spell or trap card and destroy it. I don't really like the effect of this monster, considering you have to give up 2 monsters to stop one of their spell or trap cards. I mean, maybe if Naturias are good at replenishing the board, that could be okay, but it seems a little too expensive to be worth it. Here we go. Here's this weird field spell. Golden Castle of Stromberg. Field spell, obviously. Once per turn, during your standby phase, you must banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck that specifically lists the card Golden Castle of Stromberg in its text. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Golden Castle of Stromberg once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack that monster had on the field. So, very powerful field spell in that it lets you search for any of a set of monsters, anything that says Golden Castle of Stromberg in its text, of which there are quite a few, and they do have a lot of interesting effects. And it also basically means your opponent just cannot fight back to anything you are doing, because the instant they try to attack, this card will just destroy their attacking monster and deal a lot of effect damage back to them. But it's that first effect that really makes me iffy on this thing. The whole, you have to banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. And it's not like you can choose to banish or just give up a field spell. If you have more than 10 cards in your deck, you have to get rid of 10 cards. It's just, that's how it works. So, considering the maximum card size in your deck is 30, and you draw 4 at the beginning of a duel, Golden Castle of Stromberg is only ever going to last 2 turns. So you're given a lot of power for those 2 turns, but if you can't knock out your opponent in that time, your options are going to be severely limited as to what you could do. Heck, even after just 1 turn, losing 10 cards, depending on how evil the RNG wants to be, that could be all of the monsters that you particularly needed to finish the strategy. So, very weird field spell. I have no idea how to feel about it and all the other monsters in its set, so we're just going to move on and check out Elemental Hero Escaradio. I think I pronounced that right. Level 8 Dark Warrior Fusion, 2500 attack, 2000 defense. Accepts any Elemental Hero and any Dark monster. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 100 attack for each Elemental Hero monster in your graveyard. I'm very happy with this card. It's going to always at least be a 2700, and it has very, very flexible fusion requirements. So I don't mind this card. I very much like this card. I like all the Elemental Heroes that are just any Elemental Hero and then something of an attribute. I think they're all very interesting and very cool. Alright, so we got 2 super rares at least. Let's go ahead and open up another 10 packs, see what else we can get on this reattempt of a pack opening. Another Ladybug, another Magidog, and Psychic Commander. Level 3 Earth Psychic Tuner, 1400 attack, 800 defense. When a Psychic type monster you control battles, during the damage step you can pay life points in multiples of 100, up to a max of 500, to have the monster it's battling lose that much attack and defense until the end phase. So, interesting card. It says when it battles, so if something tries to attack it, you can give up life points to try and weaken that monster. The only downside is that giving up your life points to weaken them would just effectively turn battle damage into effect damage. So, point is, unless you can weaken it enough for Psychic Commander to win, there's not really much point in giving up life points if this thing gets attacked. But when you're on the offensive, Psychic Commander might be able to give you a little bit of an edge, and it's a level 3 tuner, which is pretty good. Another Ladybug, Madolche Bapple. Level 3 Earth Beast, 0 attack, 1800 defense, has the standard Madolche effect of shuffling into your deck when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, providing it battles with an opponent's card. Once per turn, you can target one attack position Madolche monster you control, and one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls. If both monsters are still on the field, change them to face-up defense position, and if you do, the ones changed by this effect cannot have their battle positions changed until the end of your opponent's next turn. So effectively, you can place Bapple in attack mode, pick any of your opponent's attack position monsters, lock that into defense mode, and Bapple puts itself in defense mode to protect you. Not a bad effect. Don't know how sustained it could be, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I like the Madolche set, so I will not complain about more cards being added. And we got another Golden Castle. Another Psychic Field Zone, Naturia Vein. Telekinetic Charging Cell. Equip spell card. Equip only to a Psychic type monster. You do not have to pay life points to activate its effects. When the equipped monster is destroyed and this card is sent to the graveyard, you can pay 1000 life points to return this card to your hand. I also really like this equip spell. There are some Psychic monsters out there that have really good effects but cost a pretty hefty chunk of life points to activate. And up until this card came into the game, the only way to get around that was the field spell, what was it called, like Brain Research Lab or something. And that had the downside of basically saying anytime you tried to use an effect that cost life points, you don't pay life points, but the field spell gets a counter, and when it's destroyed, you take effect damage equal to however many counters times a number. So, Telekinetic Charging Cell is nice because it just nullifies the life point cost period instead of banking it and hoping your opponent doesn't blow up your field spell. Another Naturia Tulip, Sorcerer of the Doomed, and Past Image. Trap card. If you control a face-up Psychic type monster, target one monster your opponent controls, banish it. During the next standby phase, it returns to the opponent's side of the field in the same battle position. So, you can use it during your turn, get rid of one of your opponent's scarier monsters to deal with the weaker stuff and possibly get a direct attack in. Activate it during your opponent's turn to, get rid of something that would destroy your monster and save yourself a turn. Lots of flexibility with Past Image. Really like this trap card. Is this an ultra rare? Possibly. Ultra or super. Or we got a false positive. Naturia Tulip, Power of the Guardians, Rocket Hand. Regular trap card. Target one attack position monster you control with 800 or more attack. Equip this card to that target. It gains 800 attack. You can send this equipped card to the graveyard, then target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. Then, change the attack of the monster this card was equipped to 0, and his battle position cannot be changed. You can only use one Rocket Hand effect per turn, and only once that turn. So, an 800 attack point boost is very nice, and while it does severely debilitate the monster that it was equipped to when you use it to destroy something, you could put it in defense mode first and then use Rocket Hand, or just use Rocket Hand and then tribute the weakened monster for something stronger. Again, lots of uses. I also really like this card. Can we please get an ultra rare? I really want either ultra rare. Naturia Tulip, Mental Seeker, level 3 Earth Psychic Tuner, 800 attack, 600 defense. When this removed from play card is special summoned, reveal the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Choose one of those cards, and sorry about that. I believe the rest of the effect was choose one of those cards, remove it from play, and shuffle the other 2 back into the deck, but I will check once I get back into the cards. My finger slipped and I accidentally clicked the mouse button. And we got another Esper Girl. Madolche Lesson, Arcane Barrier, Cosmo Beat. You're not going to give it to me, are you? Explosive Magician. Level 6 Light Spellcaster Synchro, 2500 attack, 1800 defense. Accepts any tuner but requires non-tuner spellcaster type monsters. You can remove 2 spell counters from your side of the field to select and destroy 1 spell or trap card your opponent controls. So this is another card that is fueled by spell counters. The Power of the Guardians equip spell can work pretty well with this thing. Arcane Barrier, there's plenty of other cards out there that generate spell counters, so pretty cool little synchro. Naturia Rose Whip. Prinzessin. Level 4 Light Fairy, 300 attack, 600 defense. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 Pumpkin Carriage from your hand or deck. Then, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone, you can equip 1 Glass Slippers from your deck to this card. You can only use this effect of Prinzessin once per turn. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can target 1 Glass Slippers equipped to this card and 1 face-up monster on the field. Equip that Glass Slippers to that target. Seems like a weird effect, giving your equip spells to an opponent's monster, but if we find it, you will understand why Prinzessin has that additional effect. Psychic Field Zone. Speaking of, Glass Slippers. Equip spell. If this card is equipped to a Fairy-type monster, it gains 1000 attack. If this card is equipped to a non-Fairy-type monster, it cannot attack, also it loses 1000 attack. If this card is sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster is destroyed, you can target 1 Prinzessin you control, equip this card to that target. You can only use this effect of Glass Slippers once per turn. So the general idea is that with Golden Castle in play, Prinzessin needs another monster, that Pumpkin Carriage, to attack directly. So she'll do, say, 1300 damage. And then you can throw the Glass Slippers onto an opponent's monster. It's trapped, unable to attack. And then next turn, I suppose you summon something else out of your deck, destroy the opponent's monster, deal some battle damage. The Glass Slippers get destroyed, but then their effect goes off and they re-equip to Prinzessin and you get to attack again. I guess that's the idea. Again, not super sure on how I feel about the Golden Castle stuff. Alright, we got Psychic Life Transfer. A level 7 Earth Psychic Synchro, 2400 attack, 2000 defense. Accepts any tuner and any non-tuners, so very flexible synchro monster. And once per turn, you can remove from play 1 Psychic-type monster from your graveyard to gain 1200 life points. Not only is that a very, very nice amount of healing, but remember that Psychic Field Zone spell? With Psychic Life Transfer, you can banish the tuner and then the non-tuner. It'll take you 2 turns, but you can do that. You'll gain 2400 life points in total, and then you can use Psychic Field Zone, combine the tuner and non-tuner again, create another Psychic Life Transfer. And then use that one's effect, banish one of those, another 1200. Just saying. Just hit the bottom of the desk. Not bad. And no ultra rares, unfortunately. I'm very miffed about that because I really want either of the other two. We got another Tulip, we got another Bapple, and another Marble Maid. Okay. Let's see where to go. I just want to double check the... Here he is. Mental Seeker, yeah. Choose one of the... When it's removed from play card, special summoned, look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, choose one, removed from play, shuffle the others into the deck. Okay. Alright, so that's the 20 packs. Somehow it took me almost as long as 50 did, but moving on. So the cards we did not see are Arcanite Magician, a level 7 light spellcaster synchro, 400 attack, 1800 defense, accepts any tuner but requires non-tuner spellcasters. If this card is synchro summoned, place 2 spell counters on it. This card gains 1000 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove 1 spell counter from your field, then target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy that target. So, effectively, actually a 2400 monster instead of just a 400 monster. But you can remove spell counters from anywhere on the field to destroy your opponent's cards, and you're not limited to doing that only once per turn. So if you have a lot of spell counters built up, and you create Arcanite Magician, you can effectively just wipe your opponent's field clean. It's very nice. The ultra rare I got in the failed recording is Psychic Wheel Eater. Level 3 Earth Psychic Tuner, 600 attack, 0 defense. If you control a level 3 monster other than Psychic Wheel Eater, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can only special summon Psychic Wheel Eater once per turn this way. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target 1 monster on the field with less attack than the synchro monster that used this card as material and destroy it. You can only use this effect of Psychic Wheel Eater once per turn. So, very nice card. He combos very well with, what was that? What's this guy? Psychic Tracker. They combine to create any level 6, well, any compatible level 6 Synchro monster. Tracker gives it an extra 600 attack points, which makes it easier for you to target something annoying on your opponent's field with Wheel Eater and just get rid of it. And the final ultra rare is Dimensional Prison, an incredibly powerful trap card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target that attacking monster and banish that target. No costs, no it returns after some time, just your opponent tries to attack, it's gone. I mean, it does say target, so anything that blocks targeting effects doesn't really work, but for the most part, Dimensional Prison will just get rid of something annoying, and you don't ever have to worry about it again. Continuing on, in the super rares we have Naturia Landois, a level 7 Earth Rock Synchro, 1 Earth Tuner, 1 or more non-tuner Earth monsters, 2350 attack and 1600 defense. While this card is face up on the field, you can send 1 spell card from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation of an effect monster's effect and destroy it. Pretty good synchro, a little bit of a specific summoning requirement, but it's not all that bad. Again, though, I'm just not super familiar with Naturia, so I don't know how they work. Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth. Level 6 Earth Warrior Synchro, 2600 attack, 800 defense, accepts any tuner and any non-tuners, has no effect. And it is a level 6, so this works particularly well with Wheel Eater and Tracker in that you combine those two. Gaia Knight is summoned, it goes up to 3200, and then you can pretty much destroy any of your opponent's monsters. Target one monster on the field with less attack and destroy it. We got the 2 fusions. A very, very good card for a super rare, and pretty much the only one from the Golden Castle set that I actually like. Gleef the Phantom Bird. Level 4 Wind Wing Beast, 1500 attack and defense. You can discard this card, add 1 Golden Castle of Stromberg from your deck to your hand. That's not the part that I like. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 card in your opponent's spell and trap zone and destroy it. Easy enough. Anytime this thing is summoned, aside from flip summonings, just get rid of any opponent's spell trap card. Very, very nice card. In fact, I see this thing being used a lot more than any of the other Golden Castle cards, specifically for that. Naturia Mantis, level 4 Earth Insect, 1700 attack, 1500 defense. When your opponent normal summons a monster, you can send 1 Naturia monster from your hand to the graveyard to destroy that monster. So, pretty strong card. Only works against normal summons, so that's a little unfortunate since there are several decks that work on special summons. But, to be honest, just being able to get rid of your opponent's monsters as soon as they try to summon them is always nice. So, pretty good card there. Madolche Magiline, level 4 Earth Spellcaster, 1400 attack, 1200 defense. Standard Madolche effect, but when this card is normal or flip summoned, you can add 1 Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. So it's a Seeker, always like that in cards. And then we have another Madolche Hoot Cake. Level 3 Earth Beast, 1500 attack, 1100 defense. Again, standard Madolche effect. You can target 1 monster in your graveyard, banish it, and if you do, special summon 1 Madolche monster from your deck, except Madolche Hoot Cake. You can only use this effect of Madolche Hoot Cake once per turn. So, pretty good effect. Bit better than Magiline in that it just special summons a Madolche monster instead of adding it to your hand, but it has that extra wrinkle of requiring you to banish a monster from your graveyard, and if your deck is primarily Madolches, it's actually going to be tricky keeping them in the graveyard so you can use Hoot Cake's effect. Defender the Magical Knight, level 4 Light Spellcaster, 1600 attack, 2000 defense. If this card is normal summoned, place a spell counter on it, maximum of 1. Once per turn, if a spellcaster type monster on the field would be destroyed, you can remove 1 spell counter from your side of the field for each of those monsters instead. And other nice effect, or other nice thing about this card is that it does not have to be from Defender. You can remove them from anywhere on the field and Defender can hold on to his spell counter if he needs to. Very nice spellcaster. Let's see, we got Rocker Arm, we got Life Transfer, we got Prinzessin, Iron Hans. Level 4 Earth Warrior, 1200 attack, 800 defense. If this card is summoned, you can special summon one Iron Knight from your deck. Also, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is not in the field zone when this effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. I assume that this is to keep people from sudden synchro summoning or stuff like that too easily. You can only use this effect of Iron Hans once per turn. Gains 1000 attack for each Iron Knight you control while Golden Castle of Stromberg is in a field zone. So I guess the idea is with, yes, Iron Knight goes down to a 700 attack point monster while this thing's on the field, but Hans would go up to a 2200. But you're still left with a 700, so I don't really get the point of that. But moving on. We got Cosmo Beat, we got Cherries, Naturia Ragweed. Level 3 Earth Plant, 1200 attack, 2000 defense. When your opponent draws a card, except during the draw phase, you can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Pretty nice effect. I like it more for the defensive stats, just because there aren't all that many cards that let your opponent draw outside of the draw phase. Most cards generally, they don't say draw, they say add to your hand, which I don't think counts. So, Marmalade. Very, very good card for a rare. Old Vindictive Magician. Level 2 Dark Spellcaster, 450 attack, 600 defense. Flip effect. Target one monster your opponent controls and destroy that target. If that sounds familiar, that's because this thing has effectively the same effect as Maneater Bug. Except unlike Maneater Bug, which was an ultra rare, this thing's just a plain old rare. So, have fun. Let's see, we got Psychic Commander, Esper Girl, Psychic Tracker, Mech Knight of Ram, the Castle, the Cage, the Charging Soul, the Tree, Past Image, Explosive Magician. Here we go. Pumpkin Carriage. Level 3 Earth Plant, 0 attack, 300 defense. Princessin you control can attack directly. Your opponent cannot target Golden Castle of Stromberg you control with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So I guess the idea with the Princessin Carriage trick is that Stromberg summons Princessin, Princessin summons the Punk Carriage. The Carriage lets Princessin attack directly, and Carriage protects your Golden Castle from your opponent's spell and trap cards so that they can't do anything while you wail on them. But again, it all seems really convoluted, so... Iron Knight, Vang, Tulip, Ladybug, Bapple, Magidog, Glass Slippers, Forest. I think that's it. Oh no, we missed. There are 2 more. Mythical Bestiary, quick play spell. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then target one face-up card on the field that you can place a spell counter on. Place up to 2 spell counters on it. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one monster from your deck that you can place a spell counter on, and if you do, place up to 2 spell counters on it. You can only activate 1 Mythical Bestiary per turn. I really like this quick play spell. It combos very well with Arcanite Magician, it combos very well with other spell counter holding cards for Explosive Magician to feed off of. And it's got some good flexibility. If you need the counters now, you can go ahead and just give up the top 2 cards of your deck, or you can set it and try to get your opponent to waste their spell trap destruction on something that will actually help you instead of hinder you. And then the last card is a reprint, Naturia Pumpkin, level 4 Earth Plant, 1400 attack, 800 defense. When this card is normal summoned, if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon 1 Naturia monster from your hand. Pretty good card, especially now that there are Naturia tuners out. So, you normal summon this, special summon a tuner, create your synchro, you're good to go. And there we go. Crossing my fingers that the audio recorded properly this time, but otherwise that's been the Dimension of the Wizards mini box. I apologize for the sort of makeshift recap, and I'm sorry you guys didn't get to see my initial reactions to a lot of the cards, and especially seeing that 3 super rare in a row, that really bummed me out, but hopefully this will make do. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all have a great day. And I will see you all in the next one.